Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Saturday, October 19th, 2024. Where did the year go? But Disclosure is still here, my friends, as we all come together as a community to talk about those things we call UFOs. How about that? Welcome, everybody. Happy Saturday evening to our friends in the UK and Europe, across the Great Pond, as we like to say here in the United States. Yeah, this show's for you guys. Not a lot of stuff going on, but we got some news to get there today, and you got to have some fun with it. Yeah. But of course,
not everyone believes that humans existed.
Oh, you gotta watch that video, my friends. Oh yeah, if you missed last night's show, you know what I'm talking about. On that note, we got a small audience out there today. We got a small audience, and we got a small panel in the back today. I mean, no, nothing small here, but let's have a fun time. Did I say that? Here we go. Where's the drums? Why can't I find the drums today? Oh, how did I lose the drums? They moved. I'll find it this way. How can I not? They're always right here. The harp, scratch table, everything, pulsing logo. Somehow my freaking drums. Oh, there they are. Losing it today, folks. It's one of those days. Happy Saturday, by the way. On that note, let's go ahead and take a look and see who the heck we have in our audience today. Well, we have AJ's here along with Alien. Oh, that noise is going to be way too loud. Wow. Sorry for your ears, folks. AJ's here along with Alien Bug. Andy W. Anonymous Rex is here all the way from Oregon. April R. Coleman's around along with Fernando Suazo. Good to see you, Fernando. Gaynor Andrews is here. Idaho Strong Kathy, and she's back. Kelly Bro with those piercing blue eyes. Good to see you back, Kelly. King Bull's here along with Niles Guy. Rachel Osborne is around, and Reality Check VIP, Stephen Forbes Jr., the Chromosome Cowboy, and wrapping it up, we've got Thoughtform. How about that? Well, I'd love to go ahead and lead with our remote viewing targeter, Laura, today, but she is out. But in her absence, I want to go ahead and take a look and see who we have in the back. Let's go ahead and welcome our dear friend coming in all the way from Bristol, United Kingdom. Let's welcome in Andy W. How's it going, Andy?
Hey, Thomas. Yeah, happy Saturday, everybody. Yeah, it's been a good day so far. Yeah, I spent the after part of the afternoon with 3 blue aliens today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, a music concert. Somebody called the Blue Man Group. I took the family along. Great fun. If you ever get to see it, any part of the world.
They used to be in residency at the hotel, actually at the Mandalay Bay. Or is it at the hotel? I think it was at the Mandalay Bay in Vegas many, many years ago. Probably, oh God, we're going back 15 years,
fun.
But yeah.
Yeah, really good fun. But yeah, it's great to see everybody.
Are they still wearing those blue foil suits?
They dressed in blue, and now they're all in like black. Well, they're colored blue, you know, because they're supposed to be aliens.
Nice.
They're all colored black. But yeah, it's a really fun show. Great fun, great audience participation. Yeah,
nice, a nice family-friendly event.
Oh yeah, really good. Yeah. It's good to be back anyway.
Absolutely. Great to have you here, Andy. Great to have you back as well. Let's take a look who else we have here. Well, we have another one of our friends in the back. He's got his cameras on today. At least it was. Let's welcome in our dear friend, Freezer Man. How's it going, Freezer Man?
It's going great, Thomas. I'm sorry I haven't been around to watch too many of the shows lately, but it's good to see you again.
Good to have you. Good to see you for the first time, my friend. Thanks for being here today.
No problem.
Awesome. We also have another one of our dear friends here, Mr. Hollywood Harold. How's it hanging, Harold?
A little off to the right today, Thomas. Been doing a lot of work in the background here, upgrading my library and stuff, so there'll be a little bit more literature for people to browse around when they get bored.
Nice. Well, thank you very much for that update. And let's turn our sights on. Well, turn off the flea and turn on one more time. Done. Mr. Mike, Disclosure. How's it going, Mike?
Oh, it's going very well. We have a good show today, I think, for the audience involving breaking news on a current story that I think everybody's going to enjoy and be informed on. And our international audience is joining us today. So this is going to be, I think, a lot of fun to everyone.
Oh, yeah. I would think so as well, Mike. It's been one of those days. Yes, this the story we're bringing on today is something that you broke. Was it this morning over on Twitter, Mike?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so what we're talking about is the Langley AFB drone incursion. I would call it a UAP incursion at this point because it does not sound like they're drones. So as we get into the story on this one, the Pentagon's public position on this incident is obfuscation and cover-up, just like our friend Tim Burchett calls it out all the time. The reason is because they don't know what these objects were or where they came from, which is really hard to say because our military has the ability to see something the size of the grapefruit from ocean, from the surface of the ocean, all the way out to beyond the orbit of the moon, for that matter. I mean, go ahead. Sorry, I have to turn the chat off in the back. All right. So to say they don't know where they came from or anything, something's got to be up because there was no detection from any satellite, air, or ground sensor systems like the ones I was just talking about. All counter-drone weapon systems had absolutely no effect and were completely useless. And finally, Langley Air Force Base had no choice but to evacuate all military assets from the base to Naval Air Station Oceana in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Now, if this was coming from a foreign adversary, Mike, with technology that is impervious to our technology and operating with impunity over restricted airspace in the continental United States, then, Mike, we already would have lost the war before it began, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
correct. Because if they're working in the continental U.S. with impunity and there's nothing we could do about it, then that foreign adversary already won the war before it even began, Thomas.
Right. Which basically gives them domain in the skies over our military bases, which is just, it's a sad thing. It's a scary thing to actually bring up, Mike.
No, you're absolutely right. It's why we brought this story out for everybody to be aware of what exactly is going on. It also explains why the government is covering this up, because if it does have prosaic origins, they still don't want the public to know that they're completely useless and helpless against a foreign adversary.
Yeah. You know, and that is true. That is something the government would not want to make public. The intelligence community would be aware of a foreign adversary's large-scale and long-duration incursion within the United States. Now, Mike, you have intel sources that have confirmed that to you, that no such activity has taken place from a foreign adversary, right? Well,
No, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. There's no way, because look, if a foreign adversary was going to be operating within the continental U.S., then that would require logistics, a large-scale operation. This incursion that took place over Langley, that went on not for a matter of hours or days, that went on for weeks. And it was a long duration and a huge operation. There was not just one or two objects. They were getting swarmed. So if a foreign adversary is working in the continental U.S. over restricted airspace at a military base, there's no way the intelligence community is not going to be aware of that. How could they not? That would be involving a lot of moving of assets, equipment, material. There's no way it would go undetected.
No, it wouldn't. And the most important thing about this is, Mike, is this event already happened, so there's no denying what happened. So if it was not a foreign adversary, what else could it be?
Exactly. What the hell else could it be?
Yeah.
And there's a simple deductive reasoning that is in the story that applies to, if it's not this, then what else could it be?
Now, coming from your confidential source from the intelligence community, you were told, quote, remove all that is known, and whatever is left, however improbable, must be the truth. That sounds like one heck of a strong statement.
It really is. And it says a lot without really saying very much at the same time. Leave it to the government and the intelligence community to deal with things like a politician would. It's typical for this government.
Yeah, it is.
What do you expect?
Yeah. It's one of those things that when we look at it and just take a step back and look at where we're at, you know, we've got hearings coming up in the House and the Senate. Not sure where they're going to take us down the road, but clearly, as Tim Burchett, who we'll be talking about later today, keeps on saying, the government knows what's going on, and it's clearly a cover-up.
It is, for obvious reasons. Number one, they don't want the public and the rest of the world to know that if there is a foreign adversary that's able to act with impunity in our country, they don't want that out. And if it's something beyond that, they don't want that out. Now, the conclusion of if it's not a foreign adversary or known prosaic objects, then what else is left? Obviously, the only thing left at this point would be UAP, right, Thomas?
Yeah, that's about it. I mean, you know, the UAP, the government, I think, likes to go ahead and call them UAS at this point, but it's the same thing. Don't be fooled by it. All it is another term to go ahead and obfuscate the truth and keep the facts from coming forward to the public, whatever they may be, because it's clear that they're covering something up. Now, whether there's an agreement between humanity and the non-human intelligence, there's concerns in the air here, Mike.
There's a lot of concerns, and they're trying to obfuscate it and confuse people where it could be drones, which is what the term they like to use, even though it's not drones, because like I stated, they have anti-drone technology on the military base and ships, and it seems to be completely non-effective on any of these objects.
Right.
No effect. Right. So it's not prosaic, because prosaic technology is not working. So what does that leave? That's the question.
Yeah. Well,
what else could it be?
You have your hand raised on this one. Go ahead. Syrup.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm watching you on the TV and on my phone at the same time. But question, just to clear the air so it's not in question, what are the chances this is our own technology that was being tested at that Air Force base?
Well, let's think about that for a second, and I'll let Thomas answer that as well. But my initial answer, Syrup, is there is no way in hell that they would have some secret technology that they're testing publicly for everybody to see, especially over a restricted airspace like Langley, of all places. So no way in hell would something like that happen.
Yeah, that's a good point. Sorry, Thomas, go ahead.
No, Mike. And if that was, and if that was truly going on, and it was a test against our Air Force base for whatever would be happening, call it a blue-on-blue exercise, I think they call it, they wouldn't have taken it to the point to where they had to evacuate all the F-35s from Langley, Mike.
Right, exactly, Thomas. And to the point where this wasn't a one-and-done incursion, this was going on for weeks,
right,
nonstop. That's not a test at that point. Nothing. It's not a blue-on-blue exercise. That's not an exercise at all. That's an incursion, which is what actually happened. So,
hey Mike, did they have does your intel or anyone, have they told you where they tracked this mothership coming from by chance?
Yeah, Thomas just mentioned it when we were talking about the story. The modern current surveillance platforms from satellite, air, and ground did not detect these objects. There was no early warning. They couldn't pick it up, and then they couldn't use the technology to... We have anti-drone technology that scrambles GPS signals and would be able to take a drone object right out of the sky. None of that worked, and they weren't able to track it. That's why this is an unknown situation as far as the Pentagon's concerned. Doesn't make sense.
No.
Which
No,
is why we're
absolutely.
covering it.
It's, you look at it and you say, what, we've got the state of the art with regards to being able to take any kind of human-based drone out. Now, remember, we had drone incursions going over our nuclear silos going back a couple years ago, Mike, and there was no way they could bring those drones down at that time as well. And that's potentially where I think they were, Christopher Mellon was talking about, that there were motherships that the drones were leaving from and coming back and docking with, which again goes beyond most technological platforms that we have available.
That's right. And also, it was reported that over Langley Air Force Base, the entire time that this incursion was going on, for the length of time that it was, they had to have NASA bring a highly specialized sensor platform plane for ISR over that area, and they weren't able to track these objects.
Right.
That says a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, Mike.
And they still have no answers for the public.
Yeah. And who knows? Now, Mike, you were mentioning before the show started, there was someone else on Twitter who was putting some posts out on this. What kind of details were covered?
Oh, it was Matt Ford from the Good Trouble Show.
Yeah.
And he put a post up that's talking about law enforcement being notified that when first responders have to deal with UAP occurrences, what the recommendations are. And Matt made a point in the post. It's a short post, if you pull it up on his account. Said that the Air Force and the Pentagon are not providing necessary information to people and the public about this. So it was a good post. But a
Gotcha.
short and sweet one.
So they're not coming out there and they're not going ahead and working. Well, wasn't there a paper, PDF that was shared by Dr. Keith Taylor out there with regards to first responders and UAP and et cetera?
For law enforcement.
Yeah.
Correct. I have a copy of it. Yeah, he put that out, and it basically gives a breakdown for first responders and law enforcement. If you run into a situation with a UAP, what the best way would be to handle it. And it also gives some background on the UAP subject for people who don't follow or are not aware of it.
Yeah.
For the first responders. Interesting guide.
Yeah, now we do have an interesting question coming up from Baba200 in the chat. Thank you very much for that super chat, my friend. What if it's the group that controls the reverse engineering, sending a message to the government, letting them know they own them? Well, wasn't there something we just covered recently on this, Mike, with regards to, what do you call it? Our inability to go ahead and reverse engineer, because first you have to do it in zero gravity. Secondly, you have to do it with high pressure and high temperature. And thirdly, you have to do it on a nanoscale, on an atomic level, all of which we understand how it works. But although some people want to go ahead and say, oh yeah, we mastered this stuff back in the late 1800s, it doesn't sound like it, Mike.
No, because even in the 21st century today, with the research that's been done so far, we don't have the necessary material science technology or the ability to create materials for this type of technology.
Right. Now, that could mean, though, our United States government is involved in crash recovery, specifically to go ahead and scavenge parts from these craft to merge it in with our own technology, potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. That could be the case. And very well might be the case, Thomas. I agree.
Yeah. All right. We have 3 hands up in the back. If we can get to them next. Tia, what say you?
Hey, Thomas. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
I was listening to some podcasts. They were talking about China had built some type of mothership type thing for drone incursions. Like they've been, I don't know, maybe reverse engineering this shit, and maybe it's them and the technology that they have now is, above ours.
Well, the technology that was used when they were talking about motherships, that was more than a couple years in the past. So it's potentially they could have had that. But I know the piece they're talking about, yeah, that did come out a couple days ago, and it's an interesting theory for that matter.
Yeah, and it's, to me, it really is worrisome to me that we can be so far behind. The public, for one, shouldn't be so far behind. They brought this out in like a military parade. Obviously, they wanted the world to see what they had.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if they bought up all of our farmland around all of our military bases. I mean,
they bought up some farmland around some military bases, I believe, in California.
Actually, it was just reported to President Trump. I seen it. There's actually a lot that they've gotten.
Well, we'll have to figure that out and potentially take it back. You never know.
You should have seen the look on Trump's face. I mean, if looks could say anything, he looked devastated when he heard that shit. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if maybe, I don't know, are they the big boys now? And we're just
maybe,
the last ones,
it just comes down to our practices. Our government allows the foreign entities like China to come and buy up all the land around, land around our military bases and strategic locations. Yet Americans can't go buy land in China.
That's right. That's right. So I'm really curious about that, because if they could do that, and if they have been over our ships, stopping, programs, military assets have to be moved. This is a problem.
Yeah, it is.
This is like invasion type deal to me.
Now, in the news today, President Xi from China was meeting with their department that handles all their strategic military ICBMs and long-range missiles, and he told them, like he's told other parts of the military before, to prepare for war. So that's out there in the press today. And it's, China has, where we've been investing tons and tons of money into wars in the Middle East, or billions and if not trillions of dollars to wars in the Middle East, and now Ukraine and everything. China's been investing in their own country, in their infrastructure, in electric vehicles and solar and all these different things. Now we look at China and say, well, you're unfairly going and taking all this money, investing it into your industries. Well, hello, United States, that'd be a great idea. Get our nose out of everyone else's assholes and let's start worrying about our own problems and our own citizens here in the United States. Just saying.
Absolutely. And just to add to that, Thomas, today, I seen a congresswoman said that $66 billion has been spent on illegals. $3 billion has been spent on our veterans. What the hell is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's just one of those things. And any of the stats we're giving out could potentially be wrong. So if there are YouTube censors listening, this is just supposition, not reciting exactly facts, because we're not bringing them up and showing them. But thank you very much, T.I. We appreciate the insights. Yeah, we're weeks away from the election, and we'll be getting to Tim Burchett, who said he's had many conversations with Trump. People have been also talking with RFK Jr. with regards to this, and it sounds like if we can have a change to the other side, potentially, it sounds like we've got an opportunity to move disclosure forward in ways that we never could have imagined.
Absolutely. It's a dream team. And I think, honestly, that team with them, with Republicans, Democrats, and independents in that administration working together, I think that they can bring Americans together like never before.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's what I'm hoping for.
Thank you, T. I appreciate that insight. Harold, you have your hand up next, my friend.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, the last December and stuff, how close that was coming to overlapping the Nightcrawler experiment up there in New York. If they could use some of their data, because, it sounds like the same stuff, they need to be talking to those twin brothers, John and Jerry, or whoever.
Right. Now, they were able to go ahead and observe this with off-the-shelf commercial technology, which is way behind the technology that they had at the bases. Now, what they were saying was these drones could be visibly seen on their equipment, but they weren't showing up to radar and other potential systems, Harold. So yeah, the Nightcrawler guys coming from Long Island did see some amazing stuff, but they were just limited to that stuff that we can go and buy.
Well, all of them should be sharing the information they get, and it's like let's sort it out later, but let's get what we can right now, at least,
I would stick my hand in fire to say our government has high resolution 4K FLIR and other systems that they recorded all these drones in with close-ups and everything. Remember, they may not be able to shoot them down, but doesn't say they can't put a spotlight on them. They can't go ahead and record it and see exactly what they're dealing with. Now, unlike any of the other things we've seen where we've had videotape after video, actually video after video coming out of incursion or close calls with Chinese fighters or Russian fighters or bombers or different things, if you notice any of this stuff that regards to UAP or UAS or these drones for that matter, none of the video came out. Just like, have we ever seen one video of the drones that were flying around in Colorado, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, all near where all of our nuclear sites are? Was there any high resolution video that came out from the government? Nothing. All we got was some videos that were shot by the residents nearby, and some of them who were taking out their shotguns and trying to take them out of the sky, American style. Andy, you have your hand up, my friend.
Yeah, going back to Langley a minute. And Brendan England actually was on the same wavelength in chat. Why Langley Air Force Base other than any other Air Force bases? Is it just the F-35s were stationed there? Or is there some other reason? You must have an awful lot of air bases around. I know you've got your National Guard have got their bases and all,
I get you. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Kind of like wherever wherever we've had nuclear ordinances. There's always seemed to be UFOs, whether it's a power plant or nuclear silos or military bases, whether in the United States, the Netherlands, anywhere. Wherever that stuff is, UFOs definitely tend to come in. So I guess what you're saying there, Andy, is, if I could rephrase this, what the hell did they have at Langley that caused all of these incursions to happen? Purely it wasn't the F-35s, because we have F-35s everywhere, all around the world. All of our partners in partner countries out there that have been buying all these have them. So there must be something else, or there must have been something else at Langley that they were interested in. Any speculation from your side?
Well, I haven't got a clue, but we had an incident that's a little bit known out in the UFO community here in the UK. Certain incident called Rendlesham. Back in when was it? 1981. Now it's purported that there may have been nuclear missiles on site there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was about 10 years old then, so 9 years old when that happened. So I didn't have any inkling of things like that. But why do these events happen at Air Force bases? Specific Air Force bases, not all over the place, where my locality where I actually originate from, because I'm not from Bristol. We had a Royal Naval Air Base, and that narrows it down in the UK from where I come from. But I've never heard of any sightings over there. We had Harrier jump jets and helicopters, and it's now just a helicopter base now that we've got rid of the Harrier jump jet, which is ridiculous. But yeah, it's Langley must have something going on other than F-35s.
Crash retrieval materials, who knows what they had, but either something that they had was of interest, potentially beyond humanity, which means it's we're up to no good again. Or they're up to no good because what people have said recently, they're assessing all of our capabilities, what we can do, what we can't do, and preparing for their imminent invasion.
Yeah, get your slingshots out if you're in the UK, because it's about all we've got. At least you Americans, you can carry some impressive arsenals.
Yeah, but all they have to do is put their white light on us, and we'll just be like, What do you want me to do? I don't want to
I'm like that anyway, so but I'm
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, great show today. Thomas, did you see the new pictures of the flying saucer hovering over field that George Knapp released today? Mike, did you see that?
I did not, but I heard that it's from his new documentary, and that was released, that photo. So it's interesting, but I've been busy working on the story that we covered today.
Well, if someone's got a link to that, I'd be happy to go ahead and bring. There's George Knapp.
George Knapp, it should be on his account on Twitter.
Oh, let's take a look and see pictures of horses. Okay, what does George Knapp have up on his Twitter? Let's take a look. All right, let's go to desktop document. Let's just make so there we go. All right, so first of all, the Milky Way pictured over Devil's Tower, Wyoming, United States of America. How beautiful is that one? Let me take down the chat so we can see what's going on here. Open this up a little bit more so we can see a little bit more vertically on this. All right. Next, Las Vegas. Voting has begun early. Vote, 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 everybody. Get out there and vote. Pictures of octopus. Aliens are not real, but meanwhile in the ocean, best micro photos so that, nope, no pictures of a UFO. Hunter's Moon was out. If you guys missed it, that was on the 16th. Yeah, if you have a link to it, please tell us a title or something I can search. Oh, I'm not going to go ahead and go over there. Thank you. I'd rather not. Okay, let's get back to the chat on this one. Now, I want to come back. Here we go. Now, Mike, we do have another story that we're going to be talking about here today, I believe.
We do.
We've got a
good
story today. How do we get to this? Well, give me a second here. I'm going to go ahead and find a video on X here. Do I have Brave up and going? Get a new window, go to X. Oh, where is it at? I know it's from UAP. That one, I don't screw with people's minds.
About this.
Okay. So we've got an interview with Tim Burchett talking about Twitter. And I guess we're not going to show a picture of Tim Burchett talking. It's an audio clip talking about President Trump. So Tim Burchett and President Trump have discussed the UFO issue. Quote, I'm convinced that Trump is going to pull the cover off it. So let's take a look at this picture of Trump as we have audio coming from Tim Burchett. Let's bring this up right now. Here we go. All right. Thank you, UFO James. I appreciate that. Audio up.
I've had conversations with President Trump, and I've had conversations with some of his people about this issue, and I'm convinced that Trump is going to pull the cover off of it if he's given that opportunity. But that's a big if. Have his staffers given you that impression then, based on what they've said to you? The people that are around him, that I know, and the members of Congress that are around him are really pushing for this stuff. He made a public statement. They asked him about the Kennedy files and things like that, and he was very forthcoming. No, that's very Trump. He doesn't check with anybody on this stuff. He just does it, and I hope that he gets that opportunity, brother. I really do. I mean, it's not going to be the first day or the first week, but when the dust settles, I think we'll see it. Well,
Mike, this is one thing. By the way, I want to go ahead and plug Jay Anderson from Project Unity. This is a video he had released, I think, earlier today, if not yesterday, talking with Representative Tim Burchett on this. Now, Mike, with regards to Trump, this is something that we've been talking about. I've been bringing up for a while, and I've been beating the drum on this one. Even you were saying before, oh, I'm probably not, but we'll see where it goes. Has the tide for you changed? Do you think Trump is going to be a good chance for us to bring forward disclosure?
I think that if Kamala is elected, there will be zero chance of any type of disclosure on this subject.
Yeah.
If Trump is elected, it's an above zero chance. That's about as far as I can go, because it's still an unknown. And I could also remind you that he had 4 years in office to do exactly that, and he failed to.
Well, supposedly he had Mike Pompeo going ahead and telling him not to, so we'll have to see where that goes.
But you're talking about the president that is known for not listening to anybody and doing what he wants to do. And he had 4 years to do this, and he didn't. So I'm skeptical about it.
Well, maybe
I hope it happens.
Maybe he will this time, because unlike any majority of the people who have run for office and won, he's one of the only ones who actually goes back to the list of all the things that he said that he was going to do. He actually does them. So I am going to continue to say I think we've got a great chance, like Tim Burchett is saying, if we have a regime change and we get into Trump back in office again. I think we're going to hear more about disclosure. We're going to hear more about the Kennedy files. I can't wait to see where it's going to go, because we've got another story we're just about to cover that's talking about Kennedy actually talking about General Curtis LeMay and UFOs.
Correct.
An obsession that led to a showdown with JFK. And supposedly it was after JFK asked the CIA for the release of the UFO files that he wanted to put out there, he was actually terminated.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Now, I know, Steve, we're talking about politics, but you know what? This is a political season, and we're at a point in time to where if you want disclosure, you got one person to vote for. If you don't care about disclosure, vote the other way. It's up to you. Or it's just where we're going to be at. So let's get into the story on this one. Where are we at? Oh, not that one. Document. Here we go. Actually, let's go document. Let's find it. Go document solo. Here we go. So the story we're going to be talking about today, just getting this set up here. Come on. There you go. Okay, so General Curtis LeMay and UFOs, an obsession that led to a showdown with JFK is what we're talking about next. This is a Liberation Times opinion and insight article written by Jeff Cruikshank.
Jeff Cruikshank, yes. He's a good writer.
Yeah, good writer, absolutely. So let me get into the summary of the article so we can talk about it here. I've got 20 points that I've put together for us to be able to get through. Put it up on the big screen so I can watch this and keep an eye on it. So,
and put the link to the article in for the audience if they want to check it out.
Okay, here you go. I guess I could do that too, in addition to doing the show. So there's a link for anyone who wants to check out the article over on the Liberation Times after we're done chatting about it, literally. All right, so General Curtis LeMay was a prominent U.S. Air Force leader and served, oh, come on, get this out of the way over here. Fix this one more time to get my notes. Served as a chief of staff for Kennedy from 1961 to 1965. LeMay was heavily involved in strategic bombing operations during World War II and throughout the Cold War. He played a key role in the firebombing of Japanese cities during World War II, which made him a very controversial figure. Now, LeMay became known for his intense, no-nonsense military attitude, earning the nicknames like Old Iron Pants. Well, that's where that came from. How about that? His involvement in Cold War strategies included nuclear weapons policies, contributing to his hawkish reputation. Now, LeMay's interest in UFOs was tied to the U.S. military's monitoring of unexplained aerial phenomena, which were a subject of military concern during his tenure. Doesn't sound like it is these days, though. So some people are talking about it. The military keeps on saying there's nothing going on here. There's nothing to worry about. Yeah, right. The military under LeMay explored the possibility of UFOs being an advanced foreign technology, particularly from the Soviet Union. But aren't we hearing that today, though, Mike? Talking about it, that it's all coming from China and Russia still?
Yes, we did. This is something that's an ongoing story, Thomas.
Yeah. Now, LeMay's UFO obsession led to clashes with other high-ranking officials who were less convinced of the threat. Turn the page, President John F. Kennedy was skeptical of LeMay's aggressive stance on UFOs, leading to tensions between the two. So it sounds like LeMay was kind of almost taking the same hard line that UFOs present a threat to our national security.
Right. And he was correct over 60 years ago. Nothing has changed from then to now, it seems like.
No, they haven't.
He wasn't aware of Langley, and we're talking about it today.
Right.
So, yeah, it ties right in.
So these problems have been going on not just recently, but they've been going on in the United States since the 40s, if not before.
Well, according to Grush, this goes all the way back to 1933, Magenta, Italy. So, yeah, this goes back a long way, and we're still dealing with it today.
Well, some schmucks out there saying we were launching satellites in the 40s. That never happened.
No, sir.
Not even under Todor Sidorenko, whatever his name was. LeMay
That's correct.
Was frustrated by the lack of transparency on UFO information, was pushed for greater disclosure within the military. So he was finding the informations and he was covering it up at the same time, saying, oh, this is too big, you can't know about it, which kind of, again, sounds like he was putting together the platform that our military still uses today. Now, JFK, on the other hand, was cautious about releasing UFO-related information, fearing public panic and international repercussions, like what, bringing humanity together and us not worrying about battles between countries, but worrying about the survival of our race is kind of where it should be. One of the most famous confrontations between LeMay and JFK occurred over our nuclear strategy during the Cuban Missile Crisis, though it also reflected their broader differences in dealing with UFOs. Now, LeMay's insistence on aggressive military actions in various scenarios, including UFO-related threats, often clash with JFK's more diplomatic approach. But, Mike, how do you have a diplomatic approach if you've got a civilization that is highly advanced, their technology goes anything beyond ours, they're going to come here, no matter what kind of deals we're going to make, they're going to end up giving us the infected blankets and the other stuff. And our little missiles are equivalent to the bows and arrows of the American Indians who got slaughtered by the American cavalry in the past.
That's true. But you also have to understand, look at it from the perspective of what was going on in the world back then when Kennedy was elected. We were at the height of the Cold War. The previous administration was Dwight D. Eisenhower, who was the man that was accredited to single-handedly winning the Second World War on behalf of the United States. And maybe Russia, who was our strongest foreign adversary at the time, felt that the fledgling administration and the new young president might be weak in their response. So he was focusing on a lot of things, but that also included he had issues with the CIA. And if you remember, you and I, we covered this on the show ad nauseum about his administration and running into what the CIA was trying to hide from the president and the public. He wanted to completely remove the CIA. So, yeah, the UAP clash he had with Curtis LeMay was something that he had issues with, but also had a lot of other irons in the fire at the time.
And it sounded like JFK really wanted to take more of a diplomatic approach, but how do you take a diplomatic approach to UFOs? I guess, JFK was afraid that bringing out the truth was going to potentially go ahead and cause panic. But I think even today, if we bring out the truth on it, I don't think there's going to be panic, meaning it'll come out one day on a weekend, and on Monday, everyone's going to go to work, talk about it around the water cooler, and just go on with their lives.
You know, I agree with that sentiment and your thoughts, Thomas. But the problem is that this government, and we've also covered this on the show a while ago, they spent millions of dollars in research on this very subject. What would happen if UAP information became public? And a lot of the studies that were done on the taxpayer's dime at the time told everybody in government that it would cause a breakdown momentarily in civilization, that there would be a collapse of people supporting the government. It would expose us to being weak and having foreign adversaries take advantage. So there was reasoning that at the time they felt was necessary to suppress this knowledge and information from back then, like they've been continuing to do since then up until now. But that was their line of thinking. And they had information to sustain those thoughts, even though you and I know in the 21st century, it wasn't sound logic.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't, and it still isn't.
Correct.
Now, getting back to the story, some believe that LeMay's stance on UFOs influenced U.S. military strategies during the Cold War. And while retiring from the military in 1965, he continued to advocate for military readiness against unconventional threats, including UFOs. Again, same conversation we're hearing from Elizondo today. Now, his legacy includes his UFO fascination, which remains a subject of intrigue among historians and UFO enthusiasts alike, highlighting the military's complex relationship with a phenomenon that continues through today. So clearly, if you want to look at it, Curtis LeMay was, groundbreaking individual who really cared about the United States and wanted us to not take a optimistic approach to why they're here. It's more of a cautious approach, which is something I believe we really need to take.
I agree.
Because anytime, Mike, you have a advanced civilization coming to a very non-advanced civilization, the bad stuff usually happens to that less advanced civilization, doesn't it?
Well, we've also used the very same analogy on the show when we've talked about this before. Let's use as an example the Spanish conquistadors. When they arrived here in North America and a very primitive society that had no technology whatsoever, when they came with ships, horses, guns, and all sorts of human diseases, they almost wiped out the indigenous people of this land at that time.
When the conquistadors initially were coming down to South and Central America, they thought they were gods.
Right.
Which is similar to what we're hearing from some schmucks out there who want to say, all the aliens are good. They're here for us. They want to help us. Do they really? Because if they did want to help us, why are they so secretive and so stealthy and hiding from us in all their moves wherever they possibly can?
Well, they're not necessarily hiding all the time, because the swarm incursion that we were talking about earlier on Langley, it doesn't sound to me like they're hiding at all. And the swarm incursions that took place in 2019 on the west and east coast with our military vessels, it doesn't sound to me like they're really being that discreet.
Well, let's talk about stuff that's going over our cities, over our land. Yeah, there's a lot of times that they are being shown, but as we've learned from different observation techniques, these things are everywhere. We just can't see them. And what were we told before? If the public woke up and knew how pervasive these things were, what was the statement again, Mike?
That if they were able to see exactly what's overhead, they would shit themselves. It came from a very highly reliable source.
Yeah.
And it's the reality today. And why this is continuing to be ongoing.
And that's a reality today, Mike, whether we like it or not. Let's be honest on that.
Well, listen, Thomas, we also covered the breaking story from Michael Schellenberger on the Immaculate Constellation secret government program. And one of the details that came out of the report from the whistleblower that went to Congress included there was an instance where these objects had boxed in an F-22 fighter and escorted it out of the area on its patrol. That doesn't sound like a friendly interaction to me. So we obviously have been running into these things, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're here to help us. Right,
No.
Thomas?
I would have to agree with you 100% on that, Mike. If they were, like I said before, don't hold your hopes up for med beds. Don't hold your hopes up that they're going to come in and slow down global warming, that they're going to go ahead and save humanity. They're not here for humanity, period. They may be here for the planet. More importantly, they're here for their own reasons, and I think we're just a consequence of that. Andy, you have your hand up, my friend?
Yeah, I just want to react to that point that Mike said about the F-22 being boxed in. Where did that happen? It would be interesting to find out. Was it over the ocean? Was it over land? There was obviously a reasoning for whatever these objects were, to do what they did, to get escort this plane out of the area. We have tales of fighter planes going across to our airliners if there's a potential security issue, a bomb threat or whatever, and escorting these planes to a safe airfield where they can see if it's a genuine threat or not. These things were obviously trying to get this F-22 out of an area. It'd be nice to find out where that was. Was it in the same area?
That's classified, Andy.
Yeah.
That's not going to be released publicly, but I can tell you how that incident took place. There were 3 to 6 objects that boxed the F-22 in. The F-22 was on patrol in an area cruising at 20,000 feet. And one of the objects parked itself 20 feet off the right canopy of the F-22 and locked its position in sync with the F-22. The F-22 then went to evasive maneuvers in barrel rolls to break away from the proximity of this object, and it was unable to do that. This object was locked in that position in the line of sight of the pilot. No matter how he had climbed or rolled or moved, it did not change position. That is how they escorted, out of fear, this pilot and this F-22 out of that area. Now, most people say sometimes that these objects are indifferent. They're neither hostile nor benevolent. But I beg to differ, because an example like this plainly shows they weren't being indifferent at all. They were aggressively escorting that pilot and that plane out of that area. That isn't just simply being neutral, is it?
No, they're saying, we don't want you here. Get the hell out. And that's amazing. F-22 going around, going crazy, flying around and everything. And these things are just staying lockstep around it and they can't shake them. Oh, that must have been an eye-opener.
This is a first as well, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
We hear the tales of the Foo Fighters during World War II.
Yeah.
They were never overtly aggressive to any of our aircraft. They were never guiding them out of the way. These things seem to be following, interested in what these the World War II planes. But this is on a completely different level. Now, whether this has happened elsewhere, but yeah, it says something that the fact that this where this happened is being restricted. It was. You could say it could be potentially in a potential combat area or Was it, over the East Coast? Was it over the
Closer
West
to one
Coast
of their
America?
bases? Who knows what? But either way, we're saying, no. You need to get your ass, and we're going to escort you out of here. So it's not like they forced the plane down. It's not like they got so close to it and they gave radiation burns or damage to the pilot potentially who was flying it. All they were doing is coming in here and boxing him in like some bouncers saying, we are going to escort you out of this place. You're not to come back.
Yep.
And it worked.
It worked. It definitely did. And hey, salute to UAP for being so diplomatic about it.
But definitely not neutral or indifferent. That's the point. And I think it's a point that a lot of people went over their head.
Did they damage the plane? Did they damage the pilot? No. Did they get close to the guy and box him in and freak him out and scare the shit out of him and make it so they didn't want to come back? Oh, yeah. So they used non-lethal methods to engage with an F-22 and to get it to move away, which is less than what Americans or Chinese would do. Because imagine if we had Chinese fighters over the United States and they try to do that to us, we'd blow them out of the air.
You're right, we would. But let's call it for what it was. They did not take down the F-22.
Nope.
But they were aggressive, and they did use intimidation tactics to get that jet out of there. Intimidation was used.
No different than crows and blue jays trying to chase off a hawk.
But that still constitutes an act of intimidation.
Yeah.
And that's what we are
dealing what they're
with.
showing is their superiority over us, which we have never had domain over the skies, over our country, ever. Not one day, not 1 minute, not 1 second. We have advanced, we've created greater stuff, but we've never controlled it because they have been in control. We want to call it our skies, but it's not really our skies. We want to call it our ocean, but it's not really our ocean. We can draw imaginary lines and say, this is our territory. And the one thing they're going to go ahead and give back to you is, fuck you guys. We're in control. This is our domain. Right?
Correct. And the story that we broke earlier today on Langley Air Force Base and the drone incursion for weeks with swarms is the same intimidation tactics.
Yeah.
So no, we don't have control. They had to evacuate the air wing out of Langley Air Force Base and take it down to Oceana Air Base, Naval Air Base in Virginia. So yeah, no, that's still they employing the same intimidation tactics that a lot of people, for some reason, it seems to be going over their head.
And maybe they're following our acts of intimidation. Remember, people see things, they follow what they see, how we treat other countries, how we treat things, how we treat animals on this planet, how we treat the biosphere and the planet itself. And they're saying these people don't deserve any respect. You never know.
It could be. But it means we have a lack of control, which I think was the point you were making.
Yeah,
right,
we've never had control. And if you think you have, you need to wake up. Audience, if you have, please do wake up. All right. So
Harold has his hand up.
Harold.
Well, you've shown it time and time again on the show and stuff when you take some stills out of those air shows and stuff, they're buzzing around them. So.
Oh, yeah. Came within 70 feet of a jet fighter who's going 450 miles per hour, and this craft came in about 13,000 miles per hour, came in right in front of the nose, hot dogging it, and shot off.
Well, that was in Europe, that one, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, it was over Malta.
Yeah, right.
In the Mediterranean.
A couple of years it happened. So, I mean, it's not just an American problem. We're talking global security now, Jack.
Well, yeah, of course, UFOs have never been a problem in the United States only. It's always been a global problem. That's why last year ago, March, we had a representative from the Air Force. I think it was a colonel or someone came forward and actually, or I forget what he was.
Space Force. It was Space Force.
Yeah, from the Space Force. He came forward and said, yes, there are UAP. We don't know what they're doing. We're researching it, and we're working with our global partners out there to try and figure out what these things are, because it's not just a U.S. issue. It's an issue for the planet.
Correct. And we covered that when that press briefing was conducted by Space Force.
Oh, gosh,
so, yeah, this is an ongoing thing. It seems to be consistent and persistent, and we seem to be getting less control over this situation,
Mm-hmm.
which is something the government
And
is not
Firefly
happy
does
about.
have a point up really quick here. He says, who are they? What are they doing here? I don't care who they are. I don't care where they're from. I don't really care about their craft or how they work. I want to know, what the hell are they doing here? Period. What are they doing here?
Right.
We could ask why they're here, but more importantly, what the frick are they doing in our neighborhood?
That's right.
And maybe, how long have you guys been here for? that's the other thing. How long have you been doing this for, huh? Oh, hundreds of thousands of years. Oh, millions of years. Oh, this really is your planet. You are our daddy.
Yep. Certainly not the humans.
Not the humans. Not the humans. Oh, God, here we go. Where is it at? Doing here. Oh, I do. Where did it go? Here's Tiggy. What does Tiggy say?
Humans ain't real, brother. That's a ruse made up by the monolith to distract us from the fact that they are putting plants in our food.
Coming from an alien himself. There we go. Tiggy's. I love you, Tiggy. I love you, Tiggy. And by the way, look at that. We have over 250 people hanging out today. If you're having a fun time, you're enjoying this free YouTube live stream, do us a favor, friends. Go ahead and where did it go again? Please subscribe. That's right. Please like and subscribe to Disclosure Tonight. All the interaction that you go ahead and share actually with us actually helps YouTube know that there's people watching this show, and more importantly, they should share it with more people. So if you're having a good time, folks, give us a thumbs up, and if not, give us a thumbs down. I'm one of the first. I'm one of the crazy people to go ahead and say that. I'll take one or the other. More importantly, if you haven't subscribed yet, what the heck you waiting for? We'd love to have you as a regular here on Disclosure Tonight. On that note, let's get on to our next piece that I've got coming up here that nobody knows about, but I found something else to go ahead and cover. Mike, you've heard of UAP Med before, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
UAP Med is an organization providing the foundation for respectful and supportive treatment of UAP and non-human intelligence experiencers like myself, dispensing guidance to safeguard their health and dignity. Well, believe it or not, they have come out with something called an Experiencer Bill of Rights. Let me go ahead and bring this one up here so everybody can kind of see it. Sorry if it's a little small. The text is small, but I'll do my best to go ahead and read through this so everyone can understand what's talking about. So the UAP Med Experiencer Bill of Rights aims to assist healthcare professionals and first responders when working with experiencers of unidentified anomalous phenomena and non-human intelligence, and address the stigmas that may undermine diagnosis, treatments, and successful health outcomes. UAP Med promotes the development of professional training to raise UAP NHI awareness and to improve the treatment of UAP and NHI related health effects. We advocate for public policies that address the needs of UAP NHI experiencers, support research and health-related effects, and to develop new support mechanisms. Now, one of the things that I hear from other people who are experiencers out there is truly the lack of support or acknowledgement for experiencers. It seems like it's something they don't want to talk about, but it's something that really should be talked about. Let me go ahead and change this so I can bring it up a little bit higher. So UAP Med believes every individual who experiences NHI has a right to information. Experiencers have a right to be informed about support resources and educational materials to provide physiological, psychological, and historical data from UAP and NHI incidents and exposures. So again, this is no joke. UAP Med is a real organization, and it's great to see one of them out there to actually try and stick up for the rights of experiencers. Next is a right to investigation. Experiencers have a right to have their reported incident addressed by first responders and to request an inquiry conducted by law enforcement. Next is a right to recognition. An important one for people who have had experiences. Experiencers have a right to seek services from a medical professional without stigma, ridicule, or dismissal, and to have the reported incident treated as a legitimate event, as long as it's a legitimate. Because remember, just like anything, sometimes there are a lot of potential fruits and nuts. You know, whether you're at the local grocery store and you're in bulk foods, or you're hanging on the cereal aisle next to the Lucky Charms and Fruit Loops. But there are people who have experienced this, and they have these rights that should be stood up for. Next is a right to safety and security. Experiencers have a right to physical and emotional safety and security in a healthcare environment. Next is a right to privacy. Experiencers have a right to anonymity. Sorry about this. I need to take that down. Second here. All right. Anonymity, including digital profile privacy and conduct in accordance with the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, also known as HIPAA. Next, they should have a right to physical care, which makes sense. Experiencers have a right to seek physiological evaluation and to receive treatment for any acute chronic health-related adverse effects of their UAP NHI exposure. But what about the times when people have multiple myeloma and it's magically cured by the non-human intelligence? Yes, there are cases like that I'm aware of, that it has been documented and it has happened. Next is a right to mental health care. Experiencers have a right to seek mental health evaluation and to receive treatment for any acute or chronic health-related adverse effects of their UAP NHI exposure. Now, this is one thing that's there. Even it's not, mental health care is very important. Even like people who used to be part of the show before, who have gone off the deep edge. And LM, we wish you the best and hope in finding a mental health professional to help bring you more centered and grounded in your current crisis that you're going through. Next is a right to professional guidance. Experiencers have a right to seek professional counseling services and support networks that can help them navigate their personal path forward in a respectful and ethical environment. Number 9 out of 10 is a right to healing and recovery. Experiencers have a right to achieve personal growth, healing, and recovery at their own pace, without pressure to conform to others' expectations. And last is a right to informed consent. Experiencers have a right to make autonomous, informed decisions about whether to participate in any research studies, treatment methods, public disclosure, or publication of personal information. Mike, these are some really strong rights here. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I agree with all of the points that they're making, because it's a subject that usually goes unknown and unaddressed, and a lot of these people that require this type of mental health or medical help are not necessarily getting it in the manner that they need. So it's I think a good mission that they're doing, and more people need to be made aware of it.
Yeah, definitely. And I know some of the people who were involved in the founding and are involved with the UAP Med. It's a great organization for anyone who feels like they've had a run-in and they're looking for support. UA Med, I believe, is available for contact on Twitter, aren't they, Mike?
Yes, they are. It's a good thing that they're doing, and more people need to be made aware of it, because there are people that are new experiences that occur all around the world every day. So they're going to be sorely needed when they have to try to adjust with those types of experiences.
Yeah,
I agree.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, turning our sights back on the skies on this one, if you remember, we had a UFO shot down over the Yukon in 2023. This actually shows similarities. Remember, it's like a C-shaped craft, almost like a horseshoe. This shows similarities to a UFO that was filmed over South Korea in 2012. Let me go ahead and bring this video up, at least in portions, so we can go ahead and check this out. I think you guys are going to agree this one and the audience will agree, this one is really close to what we saw from the pictures over the Yukon. Let me get this up here, desktop document. Here we go. It's uncanny how close this is. Let me see if I can make it any bigger. No, is it going to let me make it bigger? Yeah, about as big as we're going to get. Here we go. You can see it flying here. Let me actually, sorry about that. I'm going to get the audio up so you guys can hear it. There it is as it turns on its side. Mike, does that shape look familiar to you?
Yeah, like you just described. It's a horseshoe.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting.
Exactly. So apparently that shape is not that unique, and it's something that's been out there, and it's something that has been observed in our skies, at least over South Korea in the past. Andy, you have your hand up, my friend.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because what I'm seeing, the ends of the horseshoe, the ends of the U are actually facing the way it's traveling.
Yeah.
It's, if it was an aerodynamic craft like how we realize, it would be the other way around.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be flying. It's almost as though whatever this is going backwards in our what we would consider.
Almost reminds me of that one ship that we saw in one of the Alien movies.
It's almost like a Millennium Falcon if you rounded it up and you had like a little bit out of Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It's one of those interesting things you just have to take a look.
Prometheus, Thomas.
Prometheus, yes. Thank you. Well, that was related to aliens, wasn't it? I think so. Yeah. Let's get back into here. Let's see what else we've got in our bookmarks of things we haven't covered yet today. Oh, don't take away my bookmarks, please. All right, all bookmarks. Now, there's a story. I don't have the video to cover it. It's something we were going to cover today, but I think we've had other things that we're covering. I believe Sarah Gam, who is another UAP whistleblower, came forward on Vinnie Adams' latest podcast, and it sounds like she's poured water on the whole Jellyfish video, saying it wasn't a UAP. Has anyone else caught on to that one yet?
Yeah, that was a very interesting video. And her testimony from the UAP task force was clear about how they saw this object, and the points that were made is something that people have been talking about on social media.
Yeah.
It was a good interview.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We'll be covering that later this week. Tia Loreno, you have your hand up, my dear lady.
So, yeah, I've seen a little bit of it today, her video, and I watched her other video when she was on, I think it was the Good Trouble Show.
Yeah.
It was.
And when she was on the Good Trouble Show, I thought that she was like looking at something, getting answers from either, I don't know, something that was written down, or maybe somebody that was in the room. And somebody said, no, it's her cat, But then today I kind of seen some of the same behavior with her. I don't know if that's just her or what, but what do you think?
I haven't seen her videos in detail. It's something I'll have to go back and take a look for and see if I can do any. I'm not a behavioral analyst, so I can't look at stuff and get to it. But you're seeing things that are basically going in, causing red flags for you, Tia.
Absolutely, yeah, and I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
So just maybe if you could take a look at it and tell me what you think at some point.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Something we'll have to get to here on the show. Let me go ahead and take a look. Okay, I've got a short 26-second clip from the Pentagon press briefing 2 days ago with Press Secretary Air Force Major General Pat Ryder asked a question about UFOs and UAPs. Let's see what kind of denial we're going to get from the government today. Play this clip, and I don't think our audience will be surprised on this one at all. Here we go.
All right, last question will go to Jeff Shogel, Task and Purpose.
Thanks. Given the news cycle, you could announce anything about aliens or extraterrestrial life and no one would care. So I'm going to take the shot. What do you got on UFOs, aliens, etc.? Go.
The truth is out there, Jeff. And the truth is we have no evidence to indicate extraterrestrial life has visited the planet.
Well, You notice they always throw the word in there, Mike, extraterrestrial life. What if it's not extraterrestrial? What if it's been here? What if it's an ancient terrestrial?
What if it's ultra-terrestrial? What if it's interdimensional? Then extraterrestrial excludes it from that, and they could just deny it. Blanket denial.
Right.
Thank you very much, everybody.
And that's it. That's all we're going to get from the government on that one. Are we surprised? Not even close.
Oh, hell no.
Lies
That's their typical response.
Lies and obfuscation is where our government likes to take this for everybody on a regular basis. Let's see what else we've got here going through my Twitter feed. All right. I got a little clip here from last night's show. If you haven't caught it, let me go ahead and play this. This is a recap show for what happened earlier in the week. Here we have members of the Senate going ahead and being asked a question by, I believe, George Knapp with regards to UFOs. So let's see what they have to go ahead and take as I have to run to the library. Here you go. Let's go to full video full. Okay, and I'll play this, and we'll play it, and I'll be right back to talk about it. Here we go, folks.
Should Congress do its own independent investigation into UFOs? Should Congress do its own independent investigation into UFOs?
Well, I think I'm just as curious as anyone. I'd love to know what's going on. I never saw any sort of technology like that when I was in the service. I'm not sure I fully trust Congress, to be able to figure it out. Maybe Elon Musk can. But when we talk about secrets, here's the sort of secrets I think Nevadans deserve to know about. And that is why Senator Rosen has violated the Stock Act multiple times. As someone who has a $15 million trust, whose net worth went up 61%, while most of us are suffering with the higher prices and less take-home pay, we're worried about paying rent, putting food on our table, some people even having to leave the dignity of retirement and go back to work. We want to know, what is Senator Rosen trading on, and why does she have hundreds of thousands of dollars of big pharma stock while she continues to profit and we suffer?
Ms. Rosen, let me give you 30 seconds here to respond to that.
Because it had nothing to do with UFOs, but I do want to tell you this. I'm the granddaughter of immigrants.
Okay, so... and she comes from a middle-class family, Mike. We lost Mike on that.
Obviously. No, we didn't. I'm right here. No, you're
okay,
right.
I gotcha.
Yep. Interesting.
Moose is on the loose. He's back. He's a little bit sick from antibiotics he's been on lately. So, let's see what else we've got to cover here from some videos of the clips. Oh, we just saw that one. Get past that. All right, so this is one that we didn't cover that took place on the East Coast, I believe, earlier this week. There was something that looked like it was coming down in flames off the East Coast, maybe a crash or something, Hollywood. You're familiar with this one, aren't you?
Yeah, I've seen a couple articles on it earlier and stuff, but yeah, that's the one. Yep. Okay.
This is the one we covered last night.
No, this is not the one we covered last night.
That's not Toledo, is it?
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's an old one. That's an old skydivers doing.
That's an old skydivers one, so that's not it then. Dang it! I thought that was a more current one. Sorry about that, Hollywood.
No, that's an old one. That's actually a coverups thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can dig around and find that. Yeah.
I've got an old clip here from earlier this week of Lou and Jesse Michaels talking about what is imminent. Lou talking about it's not a luxury we can afford. Let's go ahead and get to this one next. Here we go.
Wow. The word imminent, you write, actually in the foreword of the book, you say, this is not meant that there's, some sort of imminent threat necessarily. But I'm not going to lie, when I spend time with you, we've spent a decent amount of time together, I get the sense that you're sitting on things that feel like very hard truths. It feels like your existence, like you want to say more, and you feel like you are, you're...
Mike, I'm going to say one thing.
What's that?
Lou, if you could use one word to explain how Lou Elizondo looks right now,
yeah.
What word would you use?
I don't know.
Somber.
Yeah.
Lou looks very somber in this. Just saying.
He does. He does.
Using his own word. Let's hear the rest of this.
You're holding it together. And that's a tough spot to be in. And so to the extent you can talk about what might be imminent, what is imminent?
Time is not a luxury that we can afford. The time has come. We need to start having the conversation collectively. We should have had it a while ago, but we really need to start having the conversation.
I mean, that is somber 100%. It's very weighted. It's holding him down. Wouldn't you say so, Mike?
I believe it's the reason, and I think Jesse picked up on this. It's why he specifically asked Lou that exact question. He's getting the same impression that we are.
Yeah.
It's obvious.
Interesting to say the least. Let's get back into desk chat here and see what else I can find for some video content for us to go through. Oh, no, we don't need to see that one. Don't need to see that one. Don't need to see that one. Come on, I've got to have some videos here that we can go ahead and bring up. Well, we've got a candid video though, Mike, coming to us from your kitchen.
Right now?
Well, there you are.
There we go. Yep.
Yeah, you cooking some dinner, huh? Making some pancakes, it looks like, or flipping a steak.
Always making something, Thomas. You know that.
Always making something. What's for dinner, Dad?
That's it. That's cool.
Right. What else do we have going on here? That can't be the end of all my things for the show. Apparently, that is the end of all my bookmarks I've got going here. I thought I had more in here, but apparently not.
No, I think we covered a lot on the show today.
Oh, you know what it is? It jumped to the bottom on me.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, no wonder why I didn't have more stuff to go ahead and look at for videos. Oh, yeah.
Feel
All
free to
right.
use
Oh, see what I've got here to bring up. I do have more things, a lot more things. All right. So here we've got a little clip here about both House and Senate are planning to hold the UFO hearings about UAP after the election. A recent whistleblower reporter to Congress named for the first time and alleged. This is talking about imminent constellation. One of our last video clips for the night. Let's get to this one here.
Come back. And to politics now, Congress will return to Washington after the presidential election. And when law...
You hear that? Politics again. And they're talking about UFOs. Remember, politics and UFOs goes hand in hand. Whether you like it or not, it is a political topic. And if you don't want to go ahead and... what do you want to call it? If you don't want to go ahead and listen to politics, then you're not going to be able to listen to anything about UFOs because it's a government cover-up. And what runs the government? Politicians and the military-industrial complex. Let's continue on. Here we go.
Lawmakers do come back. The House Oversight Subcommittee that's been looking into unidentified aerial phenomenon, or UAPs, will continue its work. NewsNation correspondent Joe Khalil is live on Capitol Hill. So, Joe, what is the status of the committee's work, and do we know what they'll be focusing on when they're back in D.C.?
Yeah, so there's a lot that Congress is going to have on its plate when they come back after the election. But this UAP topic is going to be one of those agenda items. We've confirmed that both in the House and in the Senate, there are currently being planned hearings on this topic. In the House, it should be in the House Oversight Committee, which is the same committee, by the way, that held that blockbuster hearing last year. You're seeing images of it right now, featuring that whistleblower David Grush, who came forward on News Nation First. It's going to be a little bit of different players, but some of the same lawmakers. This time around, Congresswoman Nancy Mace is going to be leading this hearing. November 13th was their goal date, but I'm told that's not set in stone yet. I have spoken to Congresswoman Mace about this. She says there are still a couple of witnesses that they want to pin down. They didn't give any details yet about what they're going to want to focus on, but she said the witness list still in flux, partly because they don't want to reveal who they may be talking to in fear of those people being potentially intimidated out of testifying at some point. Another piece that may or may not be part of this hearing is the new reporting from Michael Schellenberger. And you may have seen this on News Nation, the independent journalist reporting that a whistleblower has come forward to Congress revealing what he says is the existence of an illegal and classified program that's known as Immaculate Constellation. Schellenberger's reporting says that this whistleblower claims that program is, in fact, a reverse engineering UAP program that is currently being run. The fact that he named it was something new. We hadn't seen anything like that before. So that whistleblower coming forward, Congress, we've spoken to a couple of members here. They have questions about it. They want to learn more about it. This is what Schellenberger told our Ross Coulthard about why it was important to cover that story specifically. Take a listen.
So whether or not you think there are extraterrestrials or non-human intelligence or anything, even if you think that all of this is just some sort of advanced craft, the allegation here by a new whistleblower verified by other sources in a position to know is that the Pentagon the Defense Department has withheld, kept secret this information from Congress, which is a violation of the Constitution and illegal.
The Pentagon vehemently denying that this program exists. They say they've got no record ever of any program with that name. So interesting when Congress comes back. We'll see how they handle this.
Yeah, we certainly will. All right, Joe Khalil live for us in Washington. Joe.
All right, Joe in Washington, D.C. Really quickly, a bunch of super chats came in when I wasn't paying attention. Holy shit. Thank you very much, Wildcat Mahone. Remember, every donation that comes in Disclosure tonight goes back in the production of our show. I want to thank Wildcat Mahone, FaZe Will, Freezer Man, and Firefly, and Badger from Bothell. We are so close. Yes, we are, my friend. So close to disclosure. Now, getting back to the story we had seen earlier we had seen a little clip taken from the debate here, the Senate debate. Here we have a story that came out earlier today, I believe, talking about 22 hours ago, talking about the Senate questions, the Senate candidates debating the UFO probe. So let's bring up this little story here. Maybe it'll get us a little bit more detail than the last clip we watched.
Airing the debate between the incumbent Democrat, Jackie Rosen, senator, and the newcomer on the Republican side, Sam Brown. Now, during the debate, the candidates were asked about UFOs. And here's what the challenger had to say. Watch.
I think I'm just as curious as anyone. I'd love to know what's going on. I never saw any sort of technology like that when I was in the service. I'm not sure I fully trust Congress, to be able to figure it out. Maybe Elon Musk can.
Joe Khalil joins us live. Joe, this is a question that would have never been brought up in a Senate debate at all had not News Nation blown this story wide open and stayed on top of it with its reporting. Fascinating last night to hear it be talked about and what he said about Elon Musk.
Yeah, and kudos to the anchors for asking the question. You're right. We're in a different age now where this is a bit more mainstream. The Pentagon acknowledging that there are these things out there that are very real and we don't know what they are. I don't put much stock into the Elon Musk thing. I think maybe Sam Brown just referenced that because Elon Musk is the, quote unquote space guy and he's team GOP at this point. In reality, though, Congress is already doing these investigations, one in the House and in the Senate. We talk to the people pushing them all the time. The interesting thing is that the original question for these guys was not should Congress be looking into it, but the original question was, do you support more transparency? And I kind of wish that they were able to answer that question because those are two different things. We know that Congress is pushing for more answers up to and including Senator Chuck Schumer and Senator Mike Rounds, very high-ranking Republican and Democrat, wanting to get more answers, but they say that they keep hitting roadblocks with three-letter agencies. So that, I think, is a more interesting question, and I'm really interested to see if any Senate candidates get that question and answer it.
Thank you for watching, and make sure you
There
go to
you
join.
go. And tying in our last news clip coming from News Nation, we have News Nation reporting 3 days ago about the story we've been covering here on Disclosure tonight for the last couple nights with regarding to the Langley Air Force Base incident that took place. Again, remember, this thing took place well over a year ago. Let's go ahead and see what is being said on News Nation at this point. Now, they don't have the latest information. The mic is secured with regards to they have no ability to stop these things. And it's probably not from one of our adversaries. Let's go ahead and see what what kind of spin News Nation puts on this.
New details are now emerging about mysterious drone activity over U.S. military airspace. Air Force officials confirmed several unmanned drones flew over Langley Air Force Base in Virginia last December. It's been brought up at a number of congressional hearings and even reached President Biden. The Pentagon is still not saying what officials think these things really are. Correspondent Joe Khalil is live for us at the Capitol. So, Joe, what are lawmakers telling you?
Well, that's what we know. We are learning more now about this fleet of objects that flew over Langley Air Force Base. Now, to be very clear, we still don't know exactly what they were. And if the Pentagon knows what they are, they certainly have not released that information publicly. But we do have some more information now, and a lot of this is being reported out. There was a Wall Street Journal report that says that ARROW, which is the division within the Pentagon that investigates UAPs or UFOs or anomalous phenomena, things that we can't really explain, ARROW was involved directly in this investigation right alongside the FBI to try to figure out what these things were, which means that the Pentagon at least had some consideration that this might be something we couldn't explain with the knowledge that we have. Let's take a step back here. All this happened back in December of 2023. These things, whatever they are, were flying and hovering over Langley Air Force Base in Virginia. It's housing one of the DoD's largest and most important military infrastructure and some of our most advanced fighter jets there. What you're watching right now is exclusive video of these things that a person came forward to News Nation and gave us. This is a witness who lives in the area nearby, and he described seeing these drones he estimated to be about the size of cars. Now, that is actually also corroborated in some of the new reporting. Pentagon officials, military officials, generals that have seen the...
Hold on a second, Mike. That's new details. These drones were the size of cars?
Roughly 20 feet, Thomas. That's why they're describing it to be the size of cars. Correct.
Wow. That's just a wowzers at this front. Let's go ahead and continue on with this. Here we go.
Things in person now say in the Wall Street Journal report that these things were about 20 feet long, that they were about 100 miles an hour going that speed or faster at an elevation of 3,000 to 4,000 feet altitude, and again hovering at times over our very important Air Force Base. Now, we stress, again, we don't know what these lights are that you are seeing. The Pentagon has not clarified. But one reason that there's speculation that they may not be an adversary like China or Russia trying to spy is because they're right there out in the open. There seems to be no effort to be low-key or try to hide this, which is what you might expect when one government tries to spy on another government. So take a listen to what Ryan Graves, who's a former Air Force pilot, told News Nation. He's also now an advocate for other military pilots who have seen UAPs and are now coming forward and reporting them. This is what he said about that 2023 incident.
We are seeing these objects blinking with white lights, not in the strobe pattern that one would expect due to FAA regulations, but patterns that don't seem to meet anything that I'm aware of. Additionally, the objects apparently have been lit up, the large number of them, while they're operating over the base itself. So it did not appear, at least from the information I've received, that these objects were trying to conceal their location or their presence.
I've talked to a number of senators who still say they are not sure what these are. They speculate one reason or another. We reached out to the Pentagon today for extra clarification. So far, have not heard from them.
All right, Joe Khalil live for us there in Washington. Joe, thank you.
And there you go. Some new insight on this. Andy, you have your hand up. Your thoughts, my friend?
Yeah. Digger in chat, Digger Dog said it quite succinctly. 20 foot, not a drone. 20 foot is yeah. I don't know of any drones.
It's an object, Andy. It's an object. It's not a quadcopter.
No.
Yeah.
We do have drones that are much larger. We use in military. They're powered by jet engines, but they're not like quadcopters and anything else. Whatever these things are, going 100 miles per hour, that's pretty fast.
3,000 to 4,000 feet.
Yeah.
And again, this goes back to what we discussed earlier, excuse me, that if there was a foreign adversary that was operating technology in restricted airspace here in the United States, how the hell would they be able to get away with that and nobody would know? The answer is they can't. It wouldn't happen, an operation or an incursion
especially
like this.
if you're at 3,000 to 4,000 feet, we should be able to pick these things up on radar.
Correct.
Unless the radar that we're looking at is filtered so they don't see these things. Remember, our military does not look at actual radar anymore. They're looking at radar that's being interpreted by an AI system that then goes and puts symbols up on their screen that they're actually looking at. So they may be appearing on traditional radar. However, they're not showing up on their AI-based radar systems. So there probably is something there, but I would say it's more potentially a chance of the government to go ahead and keep the truth from coming forward and keeping the truth from the people who actually have our eyes on the skies.
Because whoever the hell it is operating with impunity here in the United States, and there doesn't seem to be a damn thing they can do about it. So of course they don't want that information to come out.
Yeah.
Why would they?
Yeah.
Now, I'll make one quick point here since we're talking about the government's involvement. When Michael Schellenberger broke the story on Immaculate Constellation, one of the things that also came out in that report is that the Pentagon and Arrow, who was tasked from the military to the Pentagon to look into this particular subject, were fully aware of this program and held and kept that knowledge illegally from Congress and the public. So that's another twist that's coming out from this type of reporting of what they knew and what they claim they don't know. Like the press briefing you just played that said we have no knowledge of anything to do with extraterrestrials. Okay, well, the whistleblower turned around and said they absolutely do, and they have been keeping it from Congress and the public illegally. So this is going to start to come out more and more, and when it does, I believe the shit's going to hit the fan.
Yeah.
There's no explanation for that.
And we will be there to cover it. Remember, if you haven't subscribed to Disclosure tonight, please give us a subscribe. If you haven't, give us a thumbs up or thumbs down. We'll take one or the other. It's been another hot show today, Mike. Over 356 people at the peak showed up at once today. So, Disclosure is definitely on a lot more people's minds these days.
And we weren't even doing an interview. We were just covering our own breaking news stories and content. And we have people coming in. That's great.
Yeah. It's wonderful to have people here and be a part of the show. And wow, Mike, is there anything else we haven't covered yet today?
Oh, I think we've covered a lot, but I think the last bit of housekeeping for the show is before we sign off, we need to advise everybody that we will not be having a show this Monday.
Yeah.
So be prepared.
I have some medical tests coming up that I have to get ready for on Monday, and it's not going to be fun. So, yeah, Monday's show is going to have to be put off to the side until I get to the other side of this stuff.
Exactly. So this way, everyone knows we'll be on a short hiatus after the weekend, but we will return right after that.
You better believe it, my friend. You better believe it. And if I can, really quick, I want to thank all the people for your wonderful super chats tonight. Wow. Wow. Thank you for all your love and support for everything we do here at Disclosure tonight. Going in order of donation, I want to thank Baba 200 once, Baba 200 a second time, Badger, Firefly, Freezer Man 71, Phase Will again, and Wildcat Mahone. Thank you very much for everyone for your love and support of everything we do here at Disclosure tonight. Everything comes in, helps. We appreciate your love and support for everything we do here. More importantly, I want to thank all the people in the chat. The chat has been cranking today. A lot of new people showing up. It's wonderful to have you there. Remember, if you're in the chat now, I'm going to say goodnight to you. So let's go ahead and thank Ann Joanne, AK Andy W, April R. Coleman, Badger, Brendan England, Digger Dog, Eli McGinnis, Firefly, Evan B., Ian Watts, official, Kathy, Kelly Brotnos, Piercing Blue Eyes, King Bull, Lazo, Lord Malphus, Paul Damon, Tetz, the Omnist Hour, Tony D., and Truth Seeker. More importantly, I want to thank the people who have been in the back today. Andy, thanks for coming in.
I think he had to go to the library. He just
No, I think
out.
he's there. I think he's just muted. But either way, I want to thank Harold. Thanks for coming out today, Harold.
Not a problem, Thomas. Keep up on these issues, right, man? Somebody's got to watch these guys.
You better believe it. Also want to thank Sarah for coming out and asking your question today.
No, it was a good show tonight, Thomas, and I wish you luck on Monday, man. I think it's going to go good for you.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. And Tia Loreno, thanks for coming out today, my dear lady.
Oh, thank you for having me, Thomas. It was a fun show. I had a lot of new stuff going on that I didn't know about. So.
Oh, yeah. Lots of great stuff.
I
A
love
great
it.
Saturday show all around. And as we usually say, and also, what am I doing here? I want to get back to Mike, Disclosure. Thanks for coming out today, my friend.
Oh, it was a great show for the audience, and I had a lot of fun with you today, Thomas. And we'll be back shortly after the weekend, after your medical procedure, and we'll see everybody again here on Friday. And hopefully we'll have some more interesting things to share with our audience.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everyone, but...
Go back to Party City where you belong.
Absolutely. We'll catch you on the flip side. Good night, everybody. Y'all come back now here. We'll see you on probably Friday. Take care. Bye-bye.
Healthy Friday.